Welcome to the Audiobook Lovin Podcast, discussing all things audiobooks with the authors that write the stories and the narrators that perform them. Brought to you by Viviana, Enchantress of Books.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Season 6, Episode 13 of the Audiobook Lovin Podcast presents Enchantress After Dark. This series has the same great content, just a wee bit more intimate with our guest. As the official podcast for the Rocky Mountain Readers Retreat happening September 5th through the 7th in Denver, Colorado, we're going to be chatting with the signing authors and narrators. And today I am chatting and welcome to author Juliette Cross to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Me too. It's been so much fun to have these conversations, knowing that I'm going to see you in a couple months and I'm going to be like, hey.
Yes, I know. It's going to be great.
Yes. We're going to start like we usually do by having you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been writing and how you got started.
Okay. Well, yes, I'm a multi-published author of fantasy and paranormal romance. I've actually dabbled in some contemporary, but I find contemporary more difficult, believe it or not, than fantasy. So I'm sticking to my roots now. I've been publishing since 2014, and I think I have about 30 books under my belt now. It's just that I was writing a lot of dark romance for a while, and I was going with small to mid-sized publishers for a while, and just not having a lot of success. It's a very difficult industry, as anyone can tell you, to break into and to, build readership. And so then I decided to take a chance on myself and go indie with this idea about 6 witches in New Orleans. And the Stay a Spell series came about from that. And all of a sudden, I found my readers, and it was fantastic. And I love New Orleans. I'm a Louisiana native. My husband's from New Orleans. We go all the time. So I know the vibe. I love the place. I love the people, And so, that's kind of how I got started. And I was really fortunate that Monique at Bramble picked up Wolf Gone Wild and loved it and reached out. And that's how Firebird came about, which is my latest release. So now I'm back into my dark romance era. I was like dark, light. Now I'm back into the dark.
Well, it's almost like you kind of need a little bit of a mental break in between the stuff, because y'all get dark.
Oh yeah. Oh. Yes, we do. For sure. And I really enjoy, I've always been a mood reader. And so I'm also a mood writer. So I tend to really enjoy going back and doing something light and funny and just like quirky and sarcastic and all of that. And then I'll venture back into my dark stuff, Yeah.
It's fun and interesting that you said that writing your fantasy and paranormal was way easier than contemporary. I'm going, the amount of world building y'all have to write to make sure that it makes sense, but sure, it's easier.
Well, for me, I'm sure like contemporary authors are like, no way, it's the other way around. But I love world building, and I love kind of like bending the rules when you can with magic and vampires and werewolves. Contemporary is so much harder. It's like you have to stay within the laws of, nature and man and like everything else. And it's like, wait a second, I can't have a vampire jump in and grab her or whatever, So yeah, I find it a little bit more difficult for me, just because I think my favorite part about writing is really opening up my imagination and going into that world building and that fantasy part,
Hey, I'm a lover of paranormal. I'm already thinking that you're like, you sit down, you're like, I'm going to write a contemporary. And as she's sitting there drinking her coffee, the spoon starts stirring all by its own. Damn it, she's a witch. She can't do this in contemporary.
There you go. See, there you go. Exactly. That right there.
Right there. Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. It totally makes sense. I think if I was to start writing, I would definitely jump straight into the paranormal, just because that's where my like love and passion rise.
Exactly. Same for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The same, like, why do you want to do in I already live here.
It is paranormal around me. What are you talking about?
I know. Sometimes the dogs look at me and I know exactly what he's thinking, but I don't know.
Right? You could be a dog whisperer, dog witch whisperer. That'd be a perfect little cozy paranormal.
Right? Oh, look, there she goes, an idea. Speaking of witches, though, If someone was to summon you via a cauldron, what 3 ingredients or things would they have to have in order to bring you forth?
Okay. Bourbon.
Mhm.
Be one. I would say the sound of leaves rustling. So fall leaves. And probably candle wax. Yeah, I think that would be it.
Okay.
Those are 3 things I love right there.
Okay. I was just making a candle, so I totally I get that.
I love the smell of candles. I love all of it. Yeah.
In reference to the candles and the smell, they can when they're scented or beeswax or a soy kind of candle that you're like, witchery's
Yeah.
amok.
I know. True. Gosh, I can get lost in Hobby Lobby. I mean, the number of candles they have. I mean, I could stand there. I mean, I'll go in there for like, I don't know, a picture frame. And then I'm stuck in the candle aisle, just like sniffing all the candles like a crazy person, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
So you'll be in the aisles with the candles already made. I'm over there in the aisles to get the supplies in order to make the
them,
candles.
right? Exactly.
Yeah. I had a friend goes, Viv, how is it you're going to Hobby Lobby? That's a very Christian kind of and I go, it's a super pagan store. It's just hiding.
It's all hullabaloo.
The jars that are in there. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, I know it's one of those things. I'm like, ooh, amok.
Oh God, I love that movie. It's awesome.
Me too. I was a little skeptical when the second one, please don't ruin it. And it was okay, but
it was okay. But
yeah.
like the original, you can't get past the original Hocus Pocus. I mean,
oh no, yeah,
it's just so good.
Yeah. So if you're walking with 3 friends, do you do that whole walk thing that they do?
I have done it before, yes.
Okay. See, we're gonna do that at Denver. We're just gonna get our 3rd.
Right. We're gonna do a whole reel of us just doing the
walk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you that to you.
Okay, I'm on it. You just come find me.
Perfect. I mean, the conference space has such a huge amount of of hallway space and stuff like that that we can totally do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So we can totally cut up and be our fun, weird selves, right?
Yeah, right.
I love conferences because it's like here's my people. Here they all are, all the romance, you know?
Yeah.
Especially like paranormal and fantasy and stuff. I'm like, oh yes. Because I mean, my whole family are nerds. All 3 of my sons are DMs and D&D. You know, we actually have a family tattoo that it's our family name in Elvish.
Oh,
because except for our young one who's 14, we're not gonna make him get a tattoo yet. We'll force him, later.
Yeah.
But yeah, total, love all the fandoms and stuff like that. Is so much fun.
It's interesting because a lot of times people will feel a little shy going up to you guys at these events. Especially if it's a newbie, and I'm like, pop the cherry, just go to her. And yeah. So what would you say to someone that is listening and is going to be there, but has that bit of a shy? I'm like, would they approach you? Is there a secret code that would put everybody at ease? It's safe word.
Anything Lord of the Rings. Anything Lord of the Rings would get my attention.
Okay.
What else? I don't know. I mean, I find that I'm pretty approachable. I always want people to feel comfortable. I mean, it's just me. You know what I mean?
Usually it's not you guys the issue. It's us as the readers that are going, I don't want to bug her, or oh, she's busy.
Yes, and I'm like, I am literally here for you. My job is to be here for you, and I'm fine with that. That's why I came.
Okay, good.
And I love meeting readers. I absolutely love it. And they don't need to have read any of my books even. It's just fun talking to readers about, I mean, readers of romance, I find that are all just like the best people in the world, honestly.
I used to stress about going to these events and feeling a little oof, because I may not have read everybody's book. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not stressing over this shit. There's just way too many of you.
I totally had people, at a Polycon who were buying a book and they're like, I've not read it yet. Like feeling guilty. I'm like, well, no, it came out last week and I don't expect you to have read all my, I mean, that's what book cons are for too. I mean, to meet new authors and new people. And I feel like it's honestly this, especially when the cons are done really well, the safest space for you just to meet like-minded people. Authors, I mean, we write, we're kind of like solo people, often introverted, often, writing in our little boxes. But when we finally get to meet people that are like us, like we want to talk, we want to chat, we want to, connect, and that's why I go. I mean, it fuels me because it's like, oh man, these people, they love werewolves, they love, whatever. It's just like so fun to me.
Yeah.
Even though I am introverted naturally, I love book cons, and I cannot
Mhm.
wait for Denver. I'm just super
Mhm.
excited about this one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I kind of gave up on that fear of because I loved the being able to just go to a table. It's almost like a game, right? You end up like, okay, who am I going to discover today? And that's part of the excitement and getting to see the covers and going, oh my God, tell me about this one. And and the amount of times I bought books from authors just because of the interaction, they're still in my shelf. I may not have ever gotten to them, but I'm
Right.
still supporting and loving on them from that perspective. But I'll get to my TBR sometime.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do like it when the cons are a little smaller, a bit more, and which Denver is going to be like that, where it provides us time to not have to be like the Hunger Games, trying to
Exactly.
get the
Exactly.
signatures.
Exactly. It's not like you're just running to a line, but you get to talk and be like, okay, well, what do you write? And, what is this about? Or whatever. And I always have like, stickers and stuff like that. Like, come get stickers, just like chat, because I know a lot are there who've, they're looking for new authors and they're just looking for stuff they like, and it's like, and I know not all my stuff everybody's going to want, but I'm like, hey, my friend over there has got this cool whatever. You need to go try her out. Zoe Draven is a good friend of mine, Emma Ham, and I love their writing. And the funny thing is, it's like we became friends because I read their books, and I was like, this is so good. They need to be my friend. You know, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Emma Ham's gonna be able to come because she has like some personal things going on, but Zoe writes some phenomenal
Yeah.
the Horde King books and all those, which is very different from what I write, but I love it. I love like even introducing friends to other authors.
And I love how seeing you guys are all like you're at your table, you're all there because
Mhm.
you've written books. We adore you, even though we don't know you yet at all. But then you see that one other author and you completely like defenses
Oh,
are dropped, fangirl
oh,
moment, and showing on the love, or
yes,
especially if you guys were friends but not
yes,
ever seen each other in person before.
right.
You have that slow motion movement of the two of them coming up together.
Yes, it is true. And like, so this ApollyCon was crazy because
Hmm.
I went to a publisher dinner and three of my favorite authors who I'd never met before were there: Carissa Broadbent, um, Janine Frost, and J.R. Ward. And I talked to all of them and had a mini heart attack. I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm standing here talking to J.R. Ward.
Their
I'm
word.
standing here talking to Janine Frost. It was kind of a surreal moment.
Hmm.
But you know what? They're people just like we are. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
it's
And
all good.
and especially with and I've met them both, Janine and J.R. Ward, and they're
Mhm.
so down to earth.
They are. Oh my gosh.
And
Janine
yeah,
Frost cracked me up.
yes.
It's so funny.
Yeah. It's almost like you have them at that moment, and then they
Mhm.
say something like fuck, and you're going, oh,
I know.
they're human, like I am. Okay.
Yes, exactly. That's kind of how it happened.
Yeah. Oh, I have the funniest story. It was one of those. It was the RT Book Lovers conventions years ago that that
RT, I
JR Ward.
remember RT. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh, I love it. And that's one of my
Yes.
favorites. And I will admit it to y'all. I compare the conferences now to that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally
Yeah.
get it.
And JR Ward was in one of those, and I brought my huge stash of books that I have bought for myself,
Mhm.
and getting her to sign it. I am in front of her. I'm loving on her. She's loving on me and stuff like that. And she doesn't sign it the right way, and
Oh
grabs
no.
the book, rips it, throws it over her head, hits her bodyguard, and I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
that was my copy.
Yeah. She's so dramatic.
Yeah, and she goes, "Damn it, fuck, gotta get this girl a book.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
Oh yeah.
That sounds just like her too. I mean,
Yeah.
she's like that in real life. Like,
yes.
just very larger than life too.
Yes,
I absolutely loved meeting her. She was amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've met her several times now, between that and Readers on the River and some other ones, that it's just, almost like meeting an old friend, even though she probably has no idea who you are. But then at the same time, she might. With you guys, sometimes things that we don't think stand out for you does, or it becomes our handles.
Readers that I met before, I'm like, wait, I know you. I'm like, yes, we met. It's Stevie Lit or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm not a crazy person. All right.
Well, one of the things that the RT did that I started implementing outside of those events was they used to give us a little button, especially towards the end, that had our like @ and then our handle that we could write in, because a lot of times you guys are, and it's the same thing with us as Richard with you guys, we recognize more the handles sometimes than the name.
It's the same for me.
Yeah.
And I will have readers be like, I'm, a quart of something or other, like whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, like I recognize them for sure from Instagram, because that's where I spend most of my time. But yes, I absolutely understand that.
Yeah. And I learned to do that because after there was one interaction where, I'm standing there, she's seen my face before and she's just like looking at me and not saying anything. And then I'm like, hey, I introduce myself. It's Viviana. It's great to see you. She goes, again, like blank space, like doesn't know who I am. And so she's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, Enchantress of Books. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there we go.
I'm like,
yeah, totally get that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, that for the listeners to, if it makes you feel better, put your handle on a sticker, slap it on there by your name tag.
Yes, that's a smart idea.
Yeah,
and a smart idea.
Well, we're so much online nowadays.
Right.
And back in the day, we used to use our real names or part of it. And now it's like you said, underwater basket weaving 005.
Exactly.
Yeah. I at least came into it with my first name, comma, Viviana Enchantress of Books. So at least I have that going for me.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I was like, damn, I would have just stayed with Enchantress. People would not have known who I was.
Oh God, yeah. And it's like, I mean, and some of the handles are,
they're creative.
That's yes, I know you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, remember back in the day with the AOL emails? And because they were private ones, we didn't do anything because we were in high school or whatever. We had our, like mine, scam@aol.com. And then you grow up and you're going, I can't use that for college applications.
Exactly.
Resume or like job interviews. I'm like, Izzo. Last name, first name @gmail.com.
So
yeah, it's
love it.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes that like these characters in your head are thinking about stuff like this.
That's true. I mean, the characters are always doing weird shit in my head. I mean, it's Oh my gosh. And it happens at the weirdest times. Like, I mean, I know we're like the shower and driving, but like I can literally like just lay my head down to sleep. And then it's like, and then a scene pops. I'm like, I gotta get up. I gotta go like take notes because I won't forget. I will not remember it in the morning.
Yep.
Or just lose it. But
isn't it funny how we always get those really good ideas when we cannot or should not be able to write them down? In the shower, when you're in the bathroom.
Our minds are relaxing.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, that creative bug just like bing, something goes off.
Just like when you're falling asleep on the couch and you're like, I'm gonna go to bed. And as soon as you lay down, you're wide fucking awake. And you're like, God damn it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you said, you kind of mentioned that a scene will pop up. Do your characters also do they like poke you and talk to you? Or is it just like you're seeing it like a movie?
It's usually like a movie. It's like a scene will come up where they just start talking to each other. Dialogue will just start. And I don't know why, but it's usually scenes where they're talking that things come to me quickly like that, which is kind of bizarre. Like it's never like a narrative or prose or something that's coming. It's always the characters speaking to each other, and then it's like, oh God, yes, that would be good. Like I need to remember that.
Yeah. What'd she say?
It happened the other day, and I don't think I wrote it down. I'm like, oh, I lost that one. It's gone.
Oh.
But
And I
yeah,
can imagine the character just looking at you, shaking its head like,
yeah.
you were giving it to you, girl. What the hell?
No, and it's so funny because like, so I had a book signing last weekend, and they're asking, are you a plotter or a pantser? We get that question a lot,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm very much an outline. I mean, I'm a plotter. I'm an outliner. Like, especially like the kinds of stories I write. There's always some big stuff happening at the end of the book, and I like foreshadowing. I like everything to kind of build up. But I'm also this kind of strange person that I write very linear. Like, I have friends who will write and then like maybe pause, like, oh, I'll insert this sex scene later, or I'll insert that scene later. I'm just gonna go back and and bounce around. And I could never do that because it really is like a movie in my head, and I have to experience it as they're experiencing it. And I know it sounds really bizarre, but I cannot skip. Like, I can't skip even a paragraph. It has to go exactly. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to add something later, when I'm editing, like I am right now. But as soon as we get off, I have to get back to editing. My editor. Wait. But yeah, it's kind of strange. I mean, all writers are different, but for me, it's very like cinematic in my head, and so I have to experience it as the characters are experiencing it, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. Because when I read it or listen, it's very much like a movie happening in front of
Mhm.
me, which is also
Yeah,
why I don't do multiple listens slash reads at the same
right.
time.
Yeah, I can't write different books at the same time. It has to be
Yeah.
the same one. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, yeah,
Okay.
from that perspective. And I have some friends that are like doing an ebook, a paperback, and an audio. And I'm like, what the hell,
That's
dude?
interesting you say that though, because I didn't think about it from the reader's perspective, like to
Mm-hmm.
just stay with one book because I'm the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. Very cool. All right.
Yeah. It's one of those like we all think differently, and until I started really talking to people in like 15 plus years ago, I thought I was the only weirdo that saw a movie, and it turns out I'm not the only one.
Right.
I was like, woohoo! At least the one thing, babe, you're okay.
Exactly. Love that.
Yeah. So when from an author is writing, you kind of they always say like write what you know to some extent because obviously werewolves and all that fun stuff. But is there a character that you've written that is very much like or has something a character that like yourself that like ooh that one thing or something?
Oh, for sure.
Mhm.
So Evie, in Wolf Gone Wild, which is book one in the Stay Spell series, Evie is probably the most autobiographical character I've written. She's very hopeful and pretty optimistic person, but she's also a little sometimes like she's because in the story she's a graphic novel artist. She's trying to like break into this, and she has a lot of insecurities about it. So it was kind of like me about 10, 15 years ago when I was trying to start, you know what I mean? Even though I wrote her much later in life, she reflects me. And also, she's a total nerd. Like, she loves, Wolverine and Marvel and like all those things, Deadpool, and that's me.
Well, yeah, again, it's kind of hard, I would think, to not include some parts of you with almost every character to some extent, right? Whether it's the
Yeah.
short temper when someone's about to touch your food on your plate, or how someone's, has one thing or another lights on or off and stuff like that. It's,
Right.
or someone,
Yeah.
as you guys love to always kill off the characters that tend to piss you off in real life.
Yeah, I know the hardest character for me to write was Isadora in Don't Hex and Drive because she's an introvert. I'm an introvert, but I'm what I think I is called like an extroverted introvert. Like,
Yeah.
I can be very social, but my battery will die and I'll need to like go somewhere quiet and recharge. But Isadora is like an introvert with social anxiety, and I don't have that. And so I actually had to like interview a close relative to like, okay, so what would you do in this situation? Like how would you react? Because she's like, oh, because what I had written was totally incorrect, and so she helped me, like with the read on that. So those are the kinds of things. But as far as like just I think we all have a human reaction to anything, that's put in our way. And so every time I'm writing, I'm in the heron's point of view. I'm thinking about how would I feel if this happened to me, whether her personality is like mine or not. We all have the same, not the same human experience. We have different human experiences, but we're all human, and we have we react to certain things a certain way, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And with it seems like with romance, regardless if it's a paranormal or even contemporary, there's always that one instance of like love at first sight, right?
Oh yeah,
But
sorry, that's me. I love
yeah.
this. Love
but
right now.
but do you think that it actually exists in real life? And what does that look like for you?
I don't think it's love at first sight. I think it's crush at first sight, like fascination, like, oh, he's hot, or he's funny or whatever. Um, because I mean, I think about like my own husband, when I first met him, he was so funny. He was just like he was like the life of the party and hilarious. So I was instantly attracted to him. But then we were all became friends, and I'm like, well, I can't mess up this friendship. Like, what if it doesn't work out and then we're not friends anymore and like all this stuff. So we danced around each other for like a year until we finally like, well, this is stupid. Like friendship is a really good reason to date someone, because in my 20s I was an idiot, but you know, but yeah, I think it exists. I think it absolutely exists. I think sometimes though it's not love. It can't be love.
Yeah.
You can't love anyone you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But you can certainly have an instant attraction or connection. I mean, I know like, when you talk to a person, it's like, and suddenly you're talking for hours and hours and hours and like you're not sick of it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's that sort of like that connection that's quick and hard, but it's like you're not in love, but you're like, whoa, this is like
I
something
could be.
different. Yeah,
Give
I
me a
know.
little time.
I'm falling really fast, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something where people are like, oh, it's way more believable when it is a paranormal or a fantasy.
Exactly.
And people also are like, oh, I don't want that trope. And I'm like, well, where have you been? Like, haven't you ever had that one I mean, it happens even when we
Yeah.
go to conferences and we meet someone new that's a friend and we're like, oh my God. And
I mean, I love them, like, yeah,
yeah.
it's an
Mm-hmm.
instant attraction and, it doesn't necessarily mean it's romantic, but,
Exactly. Yeah,
mhm,
exactly. Mm-hmm.
yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm. Is it easier to love or hate someone?
For me, it's easier to love someone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have a hard time hating people, even some people who, well, except for, except for certain people, but,
Yeah,
um,
those are the ones that get right into the books and then just go bye-bye.
you know, there are certain people who deserve all the hatred.
Yeah.
In in my circle of life, the people I know personally, um, it's even people that I dislike, but I don't hate them. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm a Cancer. I don't know. I'm just built that way. Like I'm a, I want everybody to get along and I want to always hope for the best. And that kind of, I just have that kind of mentality. And I can't live in like, with hatred. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
It's a lot of energy. Like people are
it
like,
is. It
when
is.
they talk about like hating
Yes.
someone and
Yes.
the constant thinking or negatively talking about the same person, even though it happened like 3 or 4 years ago. And it's like that says a lot more about you than it does the person and what they did. It's the same thing like with when people talk about like, oh, hexing or cursing. I'm like, do you have any idea how much energy and time consuming it takes to do a curse or a hex? Like,
Exactly. It's just
no, I'd rather not.
like that's exactly how I feel. It's like it's so much negative energy. It's just like hurting
Hmm.
your own soul. Like
Yeah.
so
I much
I try to just push, any bad
Mhm.
thoughts. I'm like, well, push it away.
Yeah. And
So
the best thing to do is to live your own life and
yes,
thrive and
exactly.
be successful and
Exactly.
happy. And it's just one of those like it just irks the other person.
Exactly. If you don't like me, that's
Oh
fine.
well,
You
yeah.
can go right along and ignore me and live your own
Hmm.
life in a lovely way.
Yes.
You have to be in my circle, and that's totally fine with me.
Yeah, exactly.
I know who my friends are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's just that I would much rather do something fun and positive and help someone
Right.
than spend any time and effort
Yes.
into someone that's not worth it.
Yes. Think
That's the
about the
thing.
energy, the
Yeah.
positive energy you gain from, you know, I mean, I mean, literally just like helping. I was talking to this old man on the plane back home, and from Knoxville this weekend. I had a book signing in Knoxville, and he sat next to me. And a lot of people on the plane are just like, put your headphones on, ignore me, whatever.
Yeah.
But he was just like a little nervous, and he was like, well, my granddaughter sent me a ticket so we could I come like once a year to come see her, and he was just telling me, and I was like, really? I was like, where does she live? And so we just started talking, and he was just like the sweetest person. Like I wasn't gonna just be like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep now, like thanks for the conversation. So we just talked about his granddaughter and how she'd had, a hard time when she miscarriaged, and then I mean it just went on and on. Like it was
Yeah.
the whole thing. He bought her a sea turtle blanket, and he was the sweetest man. And he showed me pictures of the goat. His goat just had babies, in South Carolina. Like it was like it, and I got so much out of this conversation just talking to him, just like feeding off of his positive energy. And then like while we are leaving, he's like, let me get your luggage, and of course I had one that was half stuck in the thing. And I was like, I'll get it. I was like, no, 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 I'm gonna get it for you. And he was determined. So he did it for me, and he put out his hand and shook my hand and said, it was such a pleasure to meet you. And it was the most lovely exchange. I'll never see this man again. But just being kind to people and giving them a little time sometimes is really like soul charging. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It happens too. I mean, the amount of time it takes just to say hi or hello when you're walking by someone, or excuse me if there's a
Right,
bump, or
right.
opening the door,
Or good
and
morning,
yeah, it's those little things. And then
Yes.
a plane ride is a lot, and people get nervous and stuff, and you don't
Yeah,
know what their circumstance at home. That could have been maybe the first time he had a chance to talk to another human being, an adult, right?
right.
For the longest time, and you made
Yeah.
his day. So I love
I
that.
mean, thank you. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I think of him helping me, uh, but I appreciate that too. Like, it's just, I don't know. I feel like
Hmm.
there's enough negativity in this world. We need to share a little bit more love, and
Oh
kind
yeah.
in any way we can, even if it's just talking to an old man about his cute little goats back home in
Yeah.
South Carolina, like,
Hmm. Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah. You pay it forward, and it just kind of comes back to you in a good way. And then whatever that looks like, you don't know. And I also have the mindset of, being kind and things like that. But also, like, if that was my kid, how I would want him to be treated by people.
Exactly, exactly. I could tell he
Yeah.
was a little nervous, like,
Yeah.
and I've been
Mhm.
flying so much lately, I'm like, whatever. Um, but so that's when I kind of
Mhm.
leaned in and said, so where are you going? And, because we were both heading to the same area where I live,
Mhm.
and, but he was just coming to visit her. And
Oh, I
anyway,
love it.
yeah,
Love it.
great.
Hmm. So we tend to always sometimes have hobbies, and we're like, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. But like, what's a hobby that you've always wanted to pick up and you have yet to pick up?
Oh my gosh, let me tell you. Baking bread. I know this sounds crazy. I want to learn to bake sourdough bread. I want to learn to bake like savory pies. This is what I'm doing. Okay, I'm one more year. So by the way, I have a day job. I'm still teaching also
Mm-hmm.
while writing full time. And but I retire next year, and I was like, okay, that's when I get to start baking.
Mm-hmm.
So get ready, family. Like, oh boy, like this is gonna be a disaster. But I have friends who bake and they do it really well, so they're gonna teach me. But yeah,
Good.
I
Yeah.
know that sounds like crazy, but yes, that's what I want to learn to do.
It,
I want to
it
bake
might
bread.
sound crazy for some of the people listening, but at least not for me, considering I have my degree in culinary arts, or one of them.
Oh,
And so
there you
yeah.
go. I
Like,
just yes.
yeah. My dream is to be able to like have a suite at one of these events that has a kitchen, so I can just cook for you guys. Because that's
Oh my
a bit of a
gosh.
love language for me, and taking care of others is definitely one of them.
Oh yeah.
But I
That's it.
love cooking
Mhm.
for people, and then seeing you guys enjoying the food. And that's always been kind of like what I like to do. So
Oh, I love that.
mhm.
You would do very well down here. I live in Cajun country, and that's what
Yeah.
everybody's like down here. They
Yeah.
they like to feed people.
Yeah, it's very much a cultural thing. I mean, you
It
hear
is.
it from the Italians, you hear definitely from the Latins, which is where I get mine. And my grandmother was like always food and stuff. Like, you knew she was pissed at you when she did not cook for you.
Oh, you were in trouble.
Uh-huh. Like, oh damn, I did fuck up. Shit, I got
God,
not enough food.
damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the sourdough. I mean, I that's again when I was in culinary school, one of the classes was baking, like bread classes, 101 kind of thing. And the amount, I mean, I would walk just by and gain like 15 pounds.
I
But
know. I
yeah,
also need to get on a
yeah,
regular exercise routine before I.
yes. Mm-hmm. But it was, I mean, I would come home with like piles of like food. I went getting it to the neighbors and stuff with the amount of bread that we would take. And it, you know,
Uh-huh.
and then fast forward a few years, I'm like, I'm gonna make my bread. I'm like, why is this so hard? I'm like, oh, that's right. I don't have industry type of, you know, equipment here with me. I got a regular home oven. So why is it taking so long to poof?
Yes, exactly. Oh my
I don't
gosh.
have a convention oven. That's why, Vivi.
Aw.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
one day I will definitely be getting a suite somehow, somewhere. I'm good at, and where I can do the kitchen and do the cooking for you guys and just like relax and have some
Well,
sweet
I hope
wine.
I'm
So
there because I'm
yeah.
all about the eating.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. So I gave you some homework.
Okay.
And hopefully, as you being a teacher, you did it.
Yeah. How good of a student am I? We're about to learn.
Right. Okay. Then one of the things was I like playing the game of two truths and a lie, where you tell us three things about yourself and we try to figure out which one's the lie. Because it's just you guys can get so creative and you write for a living and you lie technically, right? You're very great. So why don't you tell us your three things and then we'll try to figure out which one's the lie.
Okay. When I was in 10th grade, I published a poem called The Faceless Doll. That's number one. When I was on my honeymoon, I almost drowned trying to see some sea turtles. That's number two. And number three is I have a degree in gifted education. That's them.
All right. And all of these are very well done. I've always said that it's in reference to the details and the things like the fact that it's in, I mean, it could have very well be that you got a poem published with the exact same name of Faceless Doll, but not in the 10th grade. It could have been in the 6th grade.
Right.
Yeah, things like that where, you know, it wasn't sea turtles, it was, you know, seahorses and all that fun stuff. Yeah. So we have the 10th grade published a poem titled Faceless Doll, Honeymoon, Almost Drowning to see those lovely sea turtles, and that you have a degree in gifted education. And considering being a teacher, you would think that that would probably be true, but who knows? You guys are so good at what you do. Let's see. I can totally see you going, ooh, sea turtles. Right. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go. Is the almost drowning the lie of the sea turtle?
No, that's the truth.
Okay. See, I'm like, I can totally see that happening.
Okay, so I did trick you. I did write a poem called The Faceless Doll, but it was great. So you were right. You deduced that very correctly. So that was kind of mean. That was a tricky one.
No, yeah, that's how we play this game. And that is what, and this is also always, it's always a good lesson for me too, because I always say like follow your instincts and I give great advice, but I never take that for myself. And that was the one that I was like, oh, it's the 10th grade. I'm sure it's another grade that she did this. Yes. And here I'm like, sea turtles. I'm like, Vivi, stop it. Listen to your guts. Listen to your intuition.
It was my fault. And my husband always likes to remind me, we drowned because you. And I'm like, okay. Because I wanted to go snorkeling and somebody had said there's this family of sea turtles around this reef. And our honeymoon was in Hawaii on Maui. And we're like, okay, yeah, let's just get some snorkel gear and let's go out there by ourselves like dummies. And so I did not take into account the tide in the afternoon. And so we got around that reef and it started pushing us out. And if we were not young and very fit, we probably would have drowned because we couldn't go to the shore because it was all a rocky reef. So we would have like scratched ourselves and immediately I'm like, blood, sharks, you know, like that's
yeah, deduction.
Yeah. Somehow swim against the tide and get around that reef, you know, to get back to the beach. And so we did. We literally like when we got it was on our hands and knees and just like collapsed. Yeah. That was
not the kind of out, you know, being out of breath that I was thinking on going on this trip.
Yeah, exactly, right. That was good story.
Yeah, I have those are the best kind. Those are the ones that when you're making memories and doing things like this, you're like, hey, remember that one time? And then you still get that dirty look that they gave you 20 something plus years ago.
Yeah,
Because they
exactly.
remember.
I know, because I remember we were swimming and we were both
Mhm.
looking down and kept looking up, and I was like, we're not getting any closer to the reef, like to get around it. And like he looks at me and points and goes, if you don't get around that rock, we're gonna die. And I was like, this is so romantic. Our third baby married, but he was scared, he was
Yeah.
nervous because he knew he couldn't get both of us, and it was just like, oh God, but
Hmm.
we made it. We made
Good.
it.
Yeah. Again, makes for a great story. I love it. You're a first-time guest, so you don't know this next part. But a part of also the guilty pleasures. We have a Patreon segment that's solely for those that are subscribers in the community, and we do a quick round of would you rather, where I make you choose between two things and hope that you still love me afterwards. And and one of the question has always been like, if you would you rather tell everyone your guilty pleasures or never partake in any of these guilty pleasures ever again? And in the time that I've been asking this question, 99.999% of the time I get the, oh yeah, I'm going to tell y'all. And and we leave it at that. We never really get, and I always jest with, okay, the next time that you come back to the show, we're going to talk about those guilty pleasures because I want to know. Never do it though. And so I'm like, you know what? No, we're not going to do that anymore.
Like a part of it, right?
Right. We're going to start. And also like it shouldn't anywhere. Like people are like, oh, they can talk about like their red room. I'm like, no, they're going to talk about how they eat cereal for
We don't have to go
dinner.
that dark.
Exactly. But not only that, none of my business. Okay. That's a conversation that we have at the conference, at that bar, not here.
Yep.
Yeah. So what are some of your guilty pleasures?
My guilt, and this does not sound super guilty, but like, so I love old fashions. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like I really love bourbon. It's like it is a love hate relationship. No, I'm kidding. It's all love. It's an all love relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to have old fashions like on the patio. But the guilty pleasure is I sometimes don't stop at one or two. It's like let's just do one more, But I'm at home. I don't have to drive anywhere, so why not? But and my husband is like so good at making them. So we will literally just like buy different whiskeys to try different kinds of old fashions and different bitters and everything. And I know that doesn't sound so crazy, but it's like this is kind of expensive. Should we not do this? We don't need to pay that other bill, right? Let's just like maybe sometimes a little irresponsible in that way, but that's one of mine is just like I really love bourbon and I really love to indulge in that when I can when I'm not working, which is a lot of the time.
Yeah. I've tried bourbon and my husband is one that likes it too. And I'm like going, it's like rubbing alcohol.
Yeah,
And
you either love it or hate it. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I have friends who are like, that's disgusting. Please can I have, a vodka, whatever. I don't even know what you do with vodka, but except for Bloody Marys. I love Bloody
Yeah.
Marys. But yeah.
Yeah, I've tried. And then I see the like you said, like the price tag on it, and I'm going, how much for two finger? What? I'm like, hey, okay.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
And I'm over here going, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where again we're all adulting and life is not and especially when you are responsible. I've always been the responsible adult, even though when I was like 13.
Right.
And my husband also is a teacher like yourself, and he's not out there at going to the strip clubs, he's not at the bars drinking this stuff or anything by himself. And I'm like, okay, so like what's it called, the winged what? And so I get him a bottle.
You're so good. You're so good to him. I love that.
I try, yeah. And then I start doing research and I'm like, hey, what about this one? And he goes, oh yeah, heaven something. I'm like, okay, great. So I have like a running list. And so I tried to alternate one that we've never tried before, or when we go to places, that when we went to Louisiana, and even when we went to Kentucky, I was like, get something. He was about to get something that we have at home. I'm like, dude, no, get something that we wouldn't have at home. Try it out.
Awesome. I've seen. I do want to do like Kentucky distillery visits and stuff. That would be so cool. I love that.
Yeah, a little dangerous too, but I'm sure that they do it responsibly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because those are, I mean, like I said, it can taste like rubbing alcohol, but there's a reason for it because it's very proof.
Oh yeah, it's strong, and especially like I mean, and old fashions can be dangerous depending how you make them because
Mm-hmm.
like they put that demerara syrup or whatever kind of
Mm-hmm.
sugar they put in it, and so it's nice and sweet, and it's got the bitters and aromatic and that citrus. It's just like, oh, this is so refreshing, and it will knock you on your ass if you
Mm-hmm.
don't watch yourself. So it's a sipping drink after my
Yes. Mm-hmm. So okay, well, we have a plan then. I will do the whole cooking thing and help you with the bread making and the savory pies and stuff like that. And you'll make me one of those old fashions and see if it tastes any better for me.
absolutely. I'll make you the best.
Perfect. Yes, because I'm trying to also expand my cocktail intake
Yes.
because I'm
Yes.
used to the whole like margaritas or the the White Russians was another one, and then the
Right.
mudslides and things like that for more desserty thing, and I'm like gin and stuff doing that now.
Right.
So yeah, gonna try to do the whole bourbon thing. I'm like, well,
Try good. If you have a
Juliette
good
said
old
it was
fashioned,
good. Yeah, Juliette
yes.
said it was good. I'm
And
gonna
like,
have
and I
make
will
me one.
try them wherever I go if I can. I mean, not wherever. Like, well, I'm not like boozing it up from place to place, whatever. But like, if we go to a restaurant, I like to try theirs to see, and then like my husband and I analyze it. Like, well, is this better than such and such? I don't know. What do they use? Like we're always
Yeah.
like, analyzing the old fashions. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, my husband was sweet, and I'm like, well, that one has nice legs, and he just
Oh,
looks
there
at
you
me,
go.
and I'm like, what? I know it's a term that we use for wine, but it's the same damn thing. It's
Yeah.
the glue that goes down the thing.
I love that so much. I would love to meet him. He sounds
Yeah. He just looks at me. I mean, I was also the girl that was at a vintage antique store, and I'm going, damn, look at the legs on that one. And there was a lady there. And I was talking about the table.
like, ma'am, it's okay.
I was like,
Calm
you have
down.
very nice legs, man, but I wasn't talking about you. I'm sorry.
That is hilarious. I love
And
that.
my husband just looks at me and shakes his head, turns around and walks away.
I'm like, I'm not even staying here for this.
Yeah, I'm like, well, wait, look at the legs.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for vintage.
Dude,
Yeah.
gosh, we would get along so well.
I know, and I'm looking at the clock now. I'm like, geez, we can probably talk forever, but you have work to do and things like that. So why don't, before we go, tell us what you're currently working on that you can share and what's coming up next for you.
Sure. I'm currently editing Bloodsinger, which is book 2 in The Fire That Binds. This is a dark romantasy, so be sure you check the trigger warnings, everyone. And then I'm going to start writing The Beast Lord, which is book 2 after The Wraith King, which is another dark romance. Not quite as dark though as The Fire That Binds. The Fire That Binds is like really serious and darker themes, but the Beast Lord and those are more like fae fantasy dark, you know what I mean? More like dark magic and stuff like that. So, yep, and that's what I'm working on.
Perfect. Yay. Well, thank you for being my guest and hanging out with me today. It's been so much fun.
And thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to meet you in person.
I know, me too. I'm gonna be like,
That's
what
so
do I have
much
to bring
fun.
her? I'm like, oh, what like Lord of the Rings stuff do I have that I can bring her? And
I know. I'm gonna pack a sourdough or something for you.
yeah.
I don't know. Look what I brought you. Ew.
Yeah.
On
Like,
the plane.
I was like, Jess, where's the kitchen?
Please assist Juliette.
Yeah, I know. But if you're not following her on social media, don't worry, I will get you all the links so you can do that, and you can find those links over at Viviana Enchantress of Books. Make sure to grab your tickets and learn more about the Rocky Mountain Readers Retreat on their website, which is www.rmreaders.com. And until next time, happy listenings.
Thank you to all of our Audiobook Lovin Podcast Patreon. The Audiobook Lovin Podcast has special Patreon access levels. Join today to receive benefits including early access to episodes, shoutouts, special exclusive content, and much more. Support the podcast by becoming a Patreon at www.patreon.com/audiobookloving. We thank you for your support.
Thank you for joining us on the Audiobook Lovin Podcast, hosted by Viviana, Enchantress of Books. For links and more information discussed in today's episode, previous podcasts, or the Audiobook Lovin Series, please visit our website, vivianaenchantressofbooks.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a positive review wherever you listen to our podcast. Until next time, happy listening.